up. And then once he goes to the bench, it's kind of like they get back in the flow of things because he looks like he's pressing. Like he's the guy who like you play like ball with and he's doing like the Michael Scott like screaming at himself like what is wrong with me today like that's at least what it feels, and maybe I'm feeling it for him because I want him to do well because it's tough because look I also think Shamit's been really good on D.
Yeah,
So
he's
so
active.
so
He
he's super active, which I can't say for everybody on the team. So like
right.
that's why I don't really know what to do about him. Like I mean like it's funny. I actually like a lot of the guys that they have, even though I think they're still missing one bigger MFer who I like that I think they need and that me and you have talked about ad nauseum. But like I don't know. What about you? Like who do you
It's
want to bring in?
so I
I
so the
gave you
way
a
I answer those two questions is number one, I'll say the guy that I think needs to make this team is Roberson. Roberson looked off. He proved he can't shoot,
yeah.
even wide open. Like, dude is not an offensive player at all, right? But um, he's the right. It's bigger than just size. He showed a couple of plays where he showed what a pro he was. That he was an actually really good defender and could be that tweener defender that plays in between whoever's at center and I mean like just basically a Jeff Green backup.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like where I would go back and forth on Roberson is like I don't think he can do better than what Bruce Brown does.
No.
Some of this Bruce Brown stuff is not real.
Yeah. I'm very happy you said that.
In a 7-game series, where a coach only has to think about the Nets, only has to devise plays to run against specifically the Nets and the Nets' weaknesses, they will find ways to render a guy like Bruce Brown utterly useless. The problem teams are gonna have is that you need a Bruce Brown out there who's going to do all of the other things.
Yep.
Right? Tonight he was opportunistic. He was left wide open. Those guys were hedging on Harden and Kyrie the whole night. If they guarded them 1-on-1, they would toast. So I recognize that the conventional thinking should be that this guy, Bruce Brown is not the one that's going to hurt us. So leave him semi-open. And these guys are shooting wide open in the gym. Joe Harris is shooting in ways that's incredible. But I really believe that Roberson could play a role. And I think it's going to come out more when KD plays. If you match him with KD, I think there's going to be a synergy there that was developed long before the Nets, and it's just going to click on for Roberson, and I think he could be a hellacious defender. The guy that I mean, this one's going to be no big surprise for everybody. Like even though he came out and hit his very first shot, he quickly showed, he's got like his body is just done. He didn't have any quickness. He got lost on a lot of defensive plays. He didn't look up to the task, and he got burnt every time he tried to guard anybody 1-on-1. It was weird. They kind of hit him for a minute there. So Shumpert for me, like, no way. I don't know if you want to disagree on either one of those.
No, I mean, look, I thought it's funny. So in terms of your analysis, I agree with like the end result that you got.
He
for
looked
both.
rickety.
I actually thought Shumpert running wise like looks less stiff than Roberson does. I think Roberson like looks just generally kind of stiff, but I think that his body type and I think his instincts are. I think Roberson's really smart, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows where to be, which I think is super helpful. And honestly, it helps with this team. It helps that he's played in big games.
Mm-hmm.
Like that means something to me as well. So I agree with you. I think the only other two guys I guess that we haven't touched on yet. I mean, obviously because I'm assuming Green is not in this conversation because he's played so well that he's obviously going to continue.
I don't consider him a other because he's a starter, right?
Yeah, right. No, same. No, so do I. But the only other two guys that I was kind of curious about is TLC, who is like honestly as streaky of a shooter as Shamit is, because he's either like legitimately hitting the side of the backboard
Yeah.
or he's 5 for 5.
No, he's awful. He could be amazing. He could look like young Kobe out there sometimes.
Yeah.
But he brings you back to reality pretty quick. He's a very inconsistent player.
There's him, and then there's the Tyler Johnson element, who I think Tyler Johnson is probably going to play more in games when they just kind of need to maintain like tempo, because I also think Tyler Johnson's really smart, and I think he picks his spots really well. Like if you notice, Tyler Johnson almost like never takes a bad shot. He basically takes like corner threes, and when he's wide open,
He's an irrational confidence guy though.
yeah, he definitely thinks a lot of himself, but I think he makes the right. I think he, for the most part, makes the right basketball play a lot of the time, which I do appreciate for this team, especially because it's funny. I'm going to give props to my dad right now. He said this when Roberson took that wide open three and it was like not even close.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was just like, with this team, like even that is a bad shot because I know that we can get something better, which is kind of
Right.
how I feel also. Like,
Right. One of the other players could take a bad shot, and that's a better shot than him shooting wide open.
like Roberson should basically shoot, or like guys like that should basically shoot, especially him who can't shoot threes, if he's basically on a fast break and he can can get a layup.
That's it. That's all. That's all for him. I'm gonna give you. Let's just do a quick prediction. Let's go fast on this one.
Yeah.
Who is your 8 players in a playoff rotation? They might go 10 in a playoff rotation because the Nets play so fast. I can see them going 10 and unconventionally going 10 deep in the playoffs just because of how fast at the pace the Nets play at.
Yeah.
But I still can see Kyrie, KD, and Harden all averaging 36. I could see Harden playing 40 minutes a game. They're gonna have to protect him from himself. And I'll finish my 8 and you could do yours. Since I started.
Yeah. Go.
So it's Kyrie, it's Harden, it's Joe Harris will start.
Yep.
Right. Now, if it's the Sixers, I think they might go Jeff Green and DeAndre.
Well, did you say Kevin yet?
I damn it, I didn't say Kevin.
I was like, Kevin's not starting right now.
This is stupid. No, go. I have things to work out in my mind.
So yeah, all right. So I'm gonna go the big. So Harden, Durant, Kyrie is 3. Harris is 4. I think I get I mean DJ's been playing better even though he scares the shit out of me. That's 5. Green is 6, and then these last 2 spots are basically where it gets more interesting. And I mean right now I'd probably lean with TLC and Tyler Johnson because I just don't know really what. Or sorry, I'd probably go Bruce Brown and either TLC or Tyler Johnson because I don't really know what to do about Shamit, to be honest, because I think Shamit kind of scares me. Like
I think they want it to be Shamit. I think they're surprised.
Yeah, that it's not.
Tyler is playing so much better, and it's not playing so much. Let's not. I think it's because Tyler looks better on defense. And he looks better doing other things besides shooting threes.
Yeah, Shamit. Like I think the team realizes quickly, like, oh shit, Shamit doesn't have it. Like you saw it today. Like he made a couple, and then he missed a couple, and then Nash went away from him. And it's this. And look, I totally get it. I think being a shooter like him and getting no rhythm is not easy.
Hmm.
But like, I mean, that's what you kind of got to do on this team. And like, he's had too many bad games where he hasn't really deserved the spot. But I think what you said initially is the main point, which is that we probably have to go 8 to 10 because I think depending on the matchup, like you're going to add in a Claxton or you're going to add in a TLC or
Or
Roberson,
Roberson.
whatever it
I
is.
I
Yeah.
think Roberson has a role on this team. If they decide they need them, but does Bruce Brown play that role better? All right, I'll do my 8 real fast. Um, so Harden, Kyrie, Durant, Green,
Yep.
DeAndre.
Yeah.
This is so silly.
Yeah.
Harris. Uh,
Yep. This is where it gets tough. Once you hit
yeah.
6.
Wait. No. It's definitely Brown for me. There's
Yep.
there's no way Brown isn't in that 8, that tight 8 rotation. The question is 8. I'm gonna say not what I think. What I think is it should be Roberson. Uh, but what I think they're gonna do is I think they're gonna play TLC. There's
Yeah.
something they like about TLC.
I agree.
I think it's close between all of them, but there's just some trust they have in TLC over. And I can't say that's 100% true because Nash has been playing Tyler Johnson a lot more, but there's something they like about TLC that they go to him for a while.
By the way, I want to ask you one thing, and I realize we're trying to do these things a little shorter, but it's a topic that's big in Nets culture, and I'm actually in the minority on it.
Uh-huh.
So our friend DeMarcus Cousins is on the verge of or has officially been waived,
Uh-huh.
right? And I mean people I mean me and you have as the listeners know want Drummond on his team as much as anybody. I think I actually think that some of the language from Nets Twitter about Cousins has been kind of totally unfair and actually not riddled in stats.
Mm.
And I wanted to hear your take on it as a numbers guy because I look at the numbers of what he's done in Houston.
You have just that's the only thing that's valid now is what he's done in Houston.
I've looked at because I'm not looking at Sacramento. I'm not looking at any of that stuff. And he has been a bad offensive player. Like he's shooting like 36%. He's like just not the same offensive guy. But this is what I do see, and this is for the listeners. So he's got, and these are some of the advanced numbers. So he's got for defensive box score plus minus. He's in the positive at 2.0. For offensively, he's negative 1.5. So overall, it's a plus 0.4. He's got a positive defensive win shares, negative offensive, and even in his limited amount of playing, he was still averaging almost 8 rebounds a game. I know that he's got like certain locker room stuff. I think the idea of like scoffing at him when you're going to be playing against like the Embiids and Brook Lopez's and whoever of the world, or Bam, whoever it is, even if you're just, as we mentioned, this Nets team is deep. They're going to be playing they might even have like hockey shifts, like just going in and out or whatever it is. Like, I don't think I think it's kind of crazy for Nets fans to like be so sure that they want someone like JaVale McGee over Cousins, like especially when they need bodies.
Well,
like McGee's a stick figure.
Well, so I love all that. I love the analytics for DeMarcus, but the problem with Cousins is his body is shot.
Yeah.
I just think that they were, they had him in their building. They watched how hard it was for him to recuperate. Because there's no reason to cut him. Like they had to cut him because his contract would go longer. And I don't think it's the performance that made them, release the guy. I think it was just the simple fact that his body is shot. and they can't trust him to just be available.